Question 7 of week 7A homework. So, um, I'm gonna be explaining this laser question. So we can first take a look at the drawing I made here to set up the problem. So like in a normal material room at room temperature, most atoms like to sit in the lowest energy level possible to stay stable. So I drew E1. I drew the line E1 for the lower energy state and then the line E2 for the upper energy state. So before we like solve anything, I'm just gonna define our variables first. So we have E1 and E2 and those are the lower and higher energy levels and they're both measured in joules. And then we have N1, as I wrote here on the bottom, which is the population or count of atoms sitting in the lower state, E1. So since it's just a count, it doesn't have any units and it's dimensionless. And then we have N2, and this is population of atoms sitting in the upper state or E2. So because this is also dimensionless, there is no units. And then normally, according to physics, especially in the Boltzmann distribution equation, which is N2 over N1, N2 over N1 equals E to the negative E2 minus E1 divided by KB times T, the ground state. So N1 has way more atoms than the excited state of N2. So in a normal state, N1 is larger than N2 as I wrote here. But now for the laser inversion where I wrote here, we need something called a population inversion. And inversion literally just means we are flipping or inverting what is normal. So the population inversion happens when we force more atoms to jump up into the higher energy level, E2 over here. And so we have we have sitting in the lower level E1 as I wrote here, which has less than the normal state here. So the first choice says that has the higher energy level more populated than it normally is, and the lower energy level less populated than it normally is. And this one matches our definition perfectly because we pumped energy into the system to push atoms from E1 to E2. As you can see here, like E2 has less atoms than E1, and then it gets flipped. And so this makes it the energy level way more populated than normal and lower level less populated. So the correct answer is going to be the first option. Thank you for watching.